good evening, everyone. On behalf of Huttons Group, I'll welcome all of you to our quarterly consumer webinar. This time round is presented by Huttons Lender Division on yet another insightful session on 2026 quarter two lender market analysis, right? Specifically, we're going to talk about whether the slowdown, the resale market, whether that's affected the lender performance. While waiting for a few more minutes for other participants to join, perhaps you can help us to share if this is the first time that you're joining the webinar. Just a couple of minutes to help us understand. By the way, just now for the early birds, those who joined us a lot earlier, we have asked whether you have any questions that you want to pose to us, okay? Because so that we can make this a bit more interactive. Either we can reply to you via the chat if throughout the session. If not, we'll try to attempt to answer towards the end. Previously, in all our previous webinars, more than half will be first timers. Okay, so let's see today. As of now, we're about 67 first timers. Please thank the Huttons agent who has invited you. Of course, hope that you find this useful as well. We should have a poll to see how many are returnees, because some of them are very smart because they know that this will be recorded, and a lot of them they continue watching in the YouTube instead. Okay. And every webinar so far, we have averaged maybe more than 1,000 views. On particularly, some would say quite a dry topic, right? Nothing sexy, nothing too animated. But I think we've been assured over the years that the quality of the information that has been shared has been appreciated by many. Okay. Okay, let's end the poll. We have about 65% and 35% of you. Okay, that's good. So if this is the first time attending, let us know if you need us to slow down or if there's any questions, right? At any point of time. Although this is a bit webinar one way, but feel free to use the chat. Okay. This is the Q&A. By all means, you can go to the chats and my ICs are all here to answer. Okay, so let's start officially on the webinar. Just a few introduction notes first. My name is Willie. I'm the head of Huttons Lender Division. So some information here, but more important, if you can see here, is that I founded together with my leaders here, Huttons Lender Division, not 1 year ago, 2 years ago, but about 11. Actually, this is our 11th year, right? It's been 10 years already since we started forming the division. And today, I'm not the only speaker. I have my team of management team here. From left to right, you can see Vico, Michael, Sindri, etc. They are all the experts in the respective landed districts, okay, stated there. So each of them will have a chance to speak up if you ask them questions, okay? Otherwise, later I'll explain to you the format later. For those who have not joined us a repeated time, this is not your first time, especially if you are watching the YouTube recording now. The format will be slightly different, and I'll touch on it one. Okay, so HLD has been, let's just put it as Huttons Lender Division, HLD, we have been featured several times in the various media articles. Okay, this was last year with some of the familiar faces here. Okay, this is the most recent one just last month. And this is the team. I'm sure you could have been invited by any of our teammates on the site. The important thing here to take note, it's not just the photos of 90, 100 of us, it's basically all the QR codes of our social media channels, right? Some of you might have gotten wind of this webinar through that as well, right? As part of the publicity channel. If not, you can screenshot this or just this scan and then find any of it. Actually, it's quite easy. You can go to any of this portal and search for Huttons Lender Division. All right, then you can find out more about what we do besides this quarterly activity. All right. As mentioned, this is not the first time we do this. We started, I think, just before COVID. After that, we've been doing this very consistently from I think, semi-annually, and then it's been a quarterly affair after this COVID, right? 2021. This is the last one on 2021 quarter one lender market analysis. So if you have missed it, like I said, it's all been recorded already. You can scan on this, you'll bring it to YouTube, and then the entire 2 hour plus webinar will be shown to you there. All right. What change are we going to make today is to actually incorporate some of the comments and feedback, meaning that some of them wish that instead of going through all 11 districts, I know we've been battling this for many years, right? It's like what districts are important. If we miss one district or certain regions, we will miss out others. Okay, but finally now we have actually come up with an interesting format, or I think a format that fits everyone, is that we're going to showcase basically the 4 top districts for reasons I'm going to share in a while. All right. These four districts will be highlighted for various reasons, but more importantly, the remaining districts, 11 districts, okay, will be recorded as well in the full recording. So today we can make it a bit more succinct. We want to have more interaction with all the participants here. Leave more time for Q&A like we mentioned earlier as well. All right. But just in case you have any other questions on, for example, District 10, 13, 14, you can also ask as well. Hopefully this gives you a clue as to what will be covered later. All right. So we'll do part one, part two, and then last but not least, we should end by about 9:50, 9:20. Okay, making this as impactful as possible. All right. Disclaimer, all our data firstly is collected as of up to 10 of July. After that, 11 onwards, the entire team was putting together all the information. All right. Why we waited till 10 is so that I think the numbers can settle a bit from URA side and give us a more accurate update on especially the June data. Okay. Very importantly, we are doing our best, I think, to share the information as it is. But please do take note and understand that any decision made on your side to be unfortunately cannot be responsible for. All right. But like I said, if there's anything, feel free to ask any of us first before you decide. Okay, so let's come to today's topic proper. Why do we choose this topic? Has the slowdown in resale condo, actually also in the HDB, by the way, resale condo and HDB market affected the landed market performance? Okay, before we know, maybe you could share with us. I don't know how many of you here are staying in a HDB condo and thinking of upgrading. Let me just launch this first. Okay, can you all see the poll? Okay, if you are. Why do we put this question? There are two reasons, okay? Because I think since beginning of last year, especially in the terrace segment, okay, we are seeing more and more upgraders from condo is quite normal, all right? Although in the past, we probably have 99-year landed or let's say cluster upgraders per se. 99-year condos we are seeing a lot, okay? And also increasingly HDB owners as well, all right? Typically, I think if you're one of those, maybe both of you are working professionals in the 30s. A lot are actually BTO, MOP benefactors in a sense, okay, making substantial profit. And instead of going to your condo EC and let's say cluster, for example, you decide to jump straight to your first lender. All right, and a lot of them are choosing actually freehold and 999, despite prices rising quite steadily across the 4 million mark. Okay, interesting choice. Let me just share with you all. Okay, 50-50 here. Can you all see the results? Okay, not too bad. So we're 50% of your staying in the HDB and condo upgrader. Are you now firstly affected by what's happening in the market now? Okay, what am I saying? Sorry, before that. Okay, is I think you probably have read news about HDB declining. I think it's not just one quarter, it's 2 to 3 quarters quite consecutively already. And those, if you have agents, fellow agents will tell you that I think the condo resale market in general has been generally slower this year compared to last few years in terms of volume, all right, and also in terms of prices as well. Okay, although the new launches are doing very well. So that is important to us because remember I said earlier, this forms actually quite a good source of supply for the entry level landed market, the terraces. Okay, if this slows down, our first concern was I think at the highest volume segment, subsegment of inter-terrace, will that actually affect the rest of the entire market? Okay. So before we go on, let's do a recap for those who just joined, who have joined us the last time as well. All right, this was when we first shared 3 months ago, certain outlook. All right, and one of the important points for us to take note of then was about HDB resale condo and of course new condo movements, because I think Singapore is a very intricate, interesting market where each of these segments in a very small country like Singapore, they're very, very closely related to each other. All right. With this, what has happened in the last 3 months? Okay. So you probably have seen news like this, and if not personally affected, about resale condos taking longer to sell. What used to take 1 to 2 months now easily more than 3, if not up to even 6 months, and so on. All right. HDB resale prices have dipped as well for the second consecutive quarter. And also, it also shows recently, this is as recent as 2nd of July, all right, the growth in private home prices have also east. Okay, so like I said, if this forms a big bulk of the demand for landed market today, we're going to dive into it and see how has the market performed as a whole. right? With this, does it look very pessimistic? Maybe, perhaps, okay? But let's not forget there are other factors, okay? There are other factors that has been explored in the last webinar about the economy, interest rates, employment, inflation, so on and so forth as well. Also a very relatively new phenomenon about top-down, the ultra-high net worth demand as well, right? So what has happened then? Okay, this is very, very new, as recent as just this today. We just added this in only, just came up, all right, which is economies. If not MES, we're still waiting for official um, data or there's a report from MES, okay, but economies from banks, etc., have actually lifted our GDP growth outlook after a very strong quarter 2 performance at about 5.7%. Okay, so now very likely we're going to hit towards the 4.6, 4.5, 4.8% growth for the entire year, much higher than last year. Okay, and also we have inflation holding quite steady. Also, interest rates is also quite steady as well, still at very low 1% SORA rate per se. I think therefore making financing still relatively affordable compared to previous years. Okay. This is the ultra high net worth market. Although you may say luxury home sales, by the way, this one actually is mainly non-landed. All right. The reports cover about the markets for condos that are priced more than $5 million. You will see that it has gone up significantly, about more than 25, almost 25% higher per se. They may not be direct, especially if the buyers are foreigners per se, but there is we have quite a number of buyers now who are looking for landed. They are actually stuck, or they used to be stuck with high-end condos above $5 million, to which they need to sell before they buy. So this is quite an important group of landed owners, sorry, or landed buyers or condo owners whom we will release, and when the market becomes higher, they will release the funds back into the market for them to enter the landed market. All right. Like I say, everything is directly or indirectly related in one way or another, especially when you're on ground and interacting with the landed consumers. Okay. With this, then what do you think is the conclusion? Positive or negative? Right? Positive and negative. I must say, 3 months ago, we shared the concern. The topic then was about whether the US-Iran oil crisis or the war will actually affect, because even when you have, I think, PM coming into the picture and asking Singaporeans, businesses, employees, etc., to brace for the worst, we therefore share similar concerns. Okay, a bit more of a pessimistic side. We were quite concerned about quarter 2, especially I think the beginning of quarter 2, March and beginning of April, the volume was really affected, right? Was really affected until it reaches May, and of course, a very good June as well. All right. With this, I've probably given you a very good hint on how the market has performed in quarter 2. So let's go and dive into the numbers. Right. If this is the first time looking at this chart, this is a very good summary, okay, of what happened since 2024. We have the value, which is indicated by the blue line. You can see there's a steep increase of 4.2%, and volume 10%. Right. For the first timers, by the way, 75% of you do slow me down in case I take your understanding of the charts for granted. I think those have attended previous webinars, you will see a concerted effort on the team side. We are actually making and simplifying the slides a lot, quite significantly, okay, to make it a lot simpler for people to understand. All right. Volume is indicated by the bars, the green bar, okay, from 400 plus unit now is almost 500 units, plus 10% as well. In fact, now the year to date, total growth is about plus 2% in terms of volume, okay, contrary to what we initially expected at the end of quarter 1. Okay, so what is important to note here, a number is 2221, because this is the highest record. It seems that I almost repeat this. Can you see all the previous quarters except for Q1? For many quarters after COVID, basically, every quarter is setting a new high. All right, it seems to be 2000 first, and then it was 2001, and now island-wide in Singapore, the average PSF of a landed property transacted is now more than $2,200, okay, per square feet. Okay, is that the only way to look at the market? Are you satisfied if you're a buyer, seller, by the way? Okay, on this note, I may want to highlight as well, it has been brought up again in its previous webinars, is that we don't use basically the other indices that sometimes URA they report basically, which is the medium price index, okay, the PPI, because that one uses a medium price and is based expressed in a number where a lot of our consumers ask, okay, so really, I really don't understand what is 281, for example, right, versus their base point of 100. So they prefer us to express it in terms of numbers that are relevant, especially when buyer seller and you're looking at numbers that will determine or help you to determine your next move in terms of purchase. So PSF was the one, and this is also from URA, but expressed in terms of average per square feet, FYI. Okay, so at 2,221 now, how does it make your sale if you're selling or the purchase that you're targeting? Is this sufficient? Obviously not. Okay, because the market can be segmented in so many ways. Let's first start with, before we go into that, let's also look at average price. Okay, PSF was, of course, you divide by the land. How about average price? You can see that the average transaction value of a landed property was 6.6 in last quarter. Now it's risen to 6.78. Sorry, 77. All right, it's a 2.1% increase. Although the average size of a property has dropped from 3,003 to about 3,002 per se. Okay, so it's getting more and more expensive. I remember the days when we were doing it was about 5 point something. So now average, okay, if you don't have almost 7 million, 6.7, 7 million, don't be surprised if your 5 million budget or 4 point something doesn't stretch you that far. Okay. Hidden parts will be shown in a while. So 10 highlights. Let's start with the main three main indicators first. All right, it's more active now with 10% more transactions. PSF has risen and the price has also increased, okay, from 6.5 to, 6.6 to 6.78. So performed better than expected despite the war and the geopolitical tensions. I think this is not the first time. I think there are a lot of times where Singapore is exposed to a lot of turmoil overseas, right? Between countries, we had a trade war before, and it has been running for quite some time. Issues in the past as well. But I think one thing that has been consistent throughout is that when the local economy, local market, including the lender market, has proven more than resilient, all right, and reflected in the underlying demand by a lot of upgraders. Okay, moving into the lender market. Okay, so is it generally positive? Is my team positive? Sellers positive? Yes. Okay, maybe for the buyers, when we're waiting for the last 6 to 9 months, thinking that price will drop, we still hear buyers like that. Unfortunately, now this is the reality. Okay, reality, and maybe you may want to factor this as you budget your next purchase. Okay, not that this is, by the way, purely just bad news. Yeah, not just bad news just for the buyers, because I think these numbers contain a lot more complex diagnosis, which I'll come to in a while. Now, the next way we can dissect the market is in terms of the price points. Okay, in the price points, of course, between $3 million 99 years and of course your GCB is a wide range. So to simplify this, we group them into three groups. Okay, which is you have the entry level below 5 million, mid range 5 to 10, and then you have the more affluent or higher range above $10 million. The numbers or percentages indicated here are the respective weightages. Okay, weightages. For example, this quarter, below 5 million has dropped, right, from 43% in the last quarter. Now it's about 39%. Okay. 5 to 10 million has increased significantly. Above 10 has dropped, for instance. Just to let you know where the money or where the movements across the market are going in terms of price point. Okay. At this point, I know a lot of you are thinking, are you in this market, or this market? All right. Again, this I will show you further. So you can see from here, like I say, entry, mid, and high. Let's focus your attention on this side first. So you can see that total, while we have a volume of 10%, most of the volume increase went to the mid price range, which is the 5 to 10 million. All right, they are already 50% of the entire market already. Above 10 million has dropped, and below 5 million, plus minus about 1%. Okay, all right. If I increase or segment this further and break this down, you can start to see certain things. For example, in the 5 to 10 million, from the 10% increase, the highest group, okay, price range has increased a lot, is $6 to $8 million, from 72 to 112. If I'm not wrong, this is the highest so far. All right. Another range that has gone up a lot in terms of percentages, okay, surprisingly, maybe to some of you, because we're not going to be reading a lot of news of this, is a $20 to $50 million, right? $50 to million. So for some of you who are familiar, you know, this of course will be detached houses, maybe in the more affluent districts, and of course also the GCB market, which we can look at in a while. All right. Okay. Next, you can see this is pardon me, just now was on volume. All right, you can see on volume. Can we dissect this and understand this from a price perspective, right? Obviously. Okay, obviously. So let's see how the movement has gone. Right, remember from here, bottom, 6.6 to 6.78, for example, 2.1, right? You can see that the increase here, let's go from this. Let me see whether I can cover this. So below 5 million was from 3.9 years drop. So basically the below 10 million is quite flat, right? It's quite flat. The category that has increased the most is actually the above 10 million from 15.3 now to 18.1. Very significant rise of 18 million, 18%. Okay. So clear so far? Again, I know some of you are just pause for a while. Depending on which price range that you are thinking of transacting soon, you can take a look, all right, on this. You can screenshot this one and go back. But you can see most are actually quite flat. Notice, especially in the middle part, most are quite flat, with the exception there's a 6%, 18, that's what I was mentioning, and -4. Plus, minus, not much movement in the last quarter. Okay. Questions so far? I promise to ask more questions because some of you are quite shy, so that we can answer this as well. Right. So fourth and fifth point. So you can see the mid-range grew the most, then led by the 6 to 8 million. And the highest range, later we'll dive a lot into this. They grew not just by average price, but also in the size. All right, also in the size. That means people buying much larger, the affluent or the highest end landed properties. Hence, of course, increasing in that. Okay. So first conclusion or second conclusion now, you can say, which is the topic for the day, is the slowdown in demand for resale condos and HDB. Okay, they may have subdued the entry level, which I mentioned, the under 5 million, but the mid tier and the high end range are still growing, boosted by economy. I think one thing I did mention here is also stocks as well. A lot of clients who make a lot of stocks, you see bank shares, etc., hitting their record high, etc. Right? Rising. Basically, the rich are getting richer, and it's not likely to stop because I think the government is continuing to attract all the high end and high value, I think in the sense, either new residents or businesses into the economy. Okay. Next is something that will be a lot easier to understand, which is house type. Okay, so here we have your terrace, semi-D, and detached. Same thing, terrace has dropped. Okay, it used to be 58%. It has dropped to 55%, one of the lowest since we started tracking this. Semi-D is about there, and then detached, the basically percentage transferred to detached houses. Okay. All right, so to show you the transaction volume a bit more closer, can you see here now? All right, so you have terrace increased by 16%, and then detached 13, and then detached minus 16%. Okay. Now, in terms of value, this will be more interesting. So all three have risen. Do remember every time we show a subsegment that the number here is 4.2, right? 4.2. You have terrace and semi about the same. In detached, slightly less, but because they also make up a smaller proportion as well. What is interesting to take note here, even if I just show you 5 quarters, okay, all three are setting new price records. Just now the 2221, all three house types are responsible for contributing to this, right? Specifically, you can see Terrace now crossing, not the first time it has crossed 2003, but now is closer to 2004, 2360. Semi-D has crossed 2000 for the first time, and you have detached, okay, closing up, in fact, surpassing Semi-D, okay, at almost $2,001 per square feet. Right, so what are some trends you can see here? Terrace semi perform better than detached, and they have achieved their record high in the respective PSF. Okay, now let's go to value next. Okay, let's go to value. On this side, a lot of you will be asking, right? Some of you may be looking at, of course, if you have some clients joining us for GCB, I remember a couple of webinars ago, but majority of you, let's say you're at a terrace, right? So really, how come terrace? But I'm looking at a corner terrace, right? How are you going to dissect this number further? Can I just tell you the bad news is that URA does not dissect terrace from corner terrace or corner terrace from terrace per se. And also they lump detach all under GCBs and detach all together. Okay, so assuming you need to dissect this part out, extract this, how do you do it? Okay, how do you do it? So here is, I'll take a few minutes to share with you, if this is the first time you're interacting with HLD or a HLD landed consultant, that we have launched this HLD landed analyzer beginning of the year. Okay, simply put, is to fill up the gaps on many things that we can't find in the market. Okay, we are always hungry. We are always what's the word, inquisitive to find out as many ways as possible to understand, digest the market further, so that first we and then next you, our clients, will be able to understand, all right, where are the price movements in the most detailed way possible. Okay. This is a proprietary app that used by only of us. We cover 11 core districts. I'll cover that. So this is the part where you can provide unprecedented analysis, okay, on sub-segments, okay, many of which I will highlight here. But frankly, I think the way that we can dissect this further, for example, subzones, built-up area, for example, our database also does not only cover land size, but also cover built-up area as well. For those who feel that sometimes they are short-changed, especially for, let's say, inter-terrace, that's 3.5 stories, and you compare other inter-terrace with the same land size, but with inferior built-up area, how do you quantify or qualify that? All right, is there historical data to back you up to say that because you have 2 more stories, you should therefore demand a higher price, for instance? Okay, how about directions? Does a north-facing house command a premium over a west direction or west-facing house, for instance, etc., etc.? Okay, it's been 6 months in the market, and trust me, my teammates and I were still having a lot of fun, okay, understanding the market using this tool. Okay, you want to know more, just feel free to go to any of your HLD lender consultant to find out more. Okay, the more you ask, the more we will learn together. All right, to this, I'm going to apply this HLD analyzer to today. Okay, to today, remember just now I mentioned corner terrace and good class bungalows. Okay, URA only provides this tree, right? So now we extract this out. So you can see now, down instead of 3 lines, there are 5 lines. This is about average PSF, by the way. This is on average PSF. Another very powerful tool that we can use is to find out the average price. Okay, this similar slide on 5 is the average price. This is where you see a lot of the listing difference. Like, for example, GCBs now are between the 30 over a million mark, and then with the rest at the bottom as well. To translate that into pure numbers for the last quarter, okay, can take a look here. For example, just now we have Terrace lump up together. If I were to split them up, you can see, all right, this one, the volume, just now we saw the volume increase, but between inter-terrace and corner terrace, actually corner terrace are doing better in terms of volume growth. Okay. And then this is also another surprising part. Just now, I think you have seen the price increase above 10 million. Within the detached bungalow segment, if we were to take up GCBs, even though it's just a 3 unit increase, but it's a 75% increase. In fact, at 11 units this year, this is almost more than half of the 18, 19 units transacted last year already. Okay, but it's the detached segment, pure detached, all right, under non-GCB numbers that have drop in terms of numbers. Besides that, we can also see the PSF. Okay, you can see the PSF, GCB PSF, corner terrace PSF also gone up, and of course the average price as well. Okay, average price. Okay, corner terrace has been something that's quite interesting because we transact, not just do we have transact a lot of corner terrace, but we have also a lot of buyers looking at that as well. And when especially those where semi-detached are less in terms of supply for sale, or there are some unique qualities about the corner terrace. I think later my teammates will present some and share with you. Okay. So what's the learnings that we can here? Corner terrace have outperformed inter terrace. Okay, in terms of corner terrace is at +7, but inter is only 1.1. Okay, 1.1. Okay, if you link this back again to the upgraders, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, because a lot of the corner terrace buyers are actually inter terrace upgraders. So they may have they are not the one who are affected by the slowdown, the corner and the HDB whatever per se, but they are able to then upgrade to the corner terrace. And GCBs, okay, outperform is a 30% increase. Later I'll let my teammate Will, I think fellow IC, to share more. Right? Now, other segments that you might be keen in. Anyone here looking at 99 years? Anyone? Okay, might be interesting to know. So you know this is a small percentage of the market, right? Some thought it's 5-6%. Actually, at 13% is quite a significant part. All right, more than 1 in 10. So it's a 99 years. So we cannot underestimate the impact of that. So for 99 years, let's take a look first at okay. From here you can see the volume has increased by also 10%, and the value is actually even higher. Sorry, this is freehold, 999, pardon me, right? Freehold and 999 increased by 10%, and the total, if you take out 99, actually the value has gone up even higher than 4.2 that we saw just now, okay, crossing 2003 in general. 99 doesn't do as well, but volume has grown up a lot, significantly at 0.7, but the value is flat at 0.3%. Okay, so first conclusion on that. How else can we segment this further? Okay, how about resale and new? Any one of you looking at new houses? My team markets quite a few as well, and we just attended a new launch beginning of this today, I think, for a new District 11 launch. Okay, so let's take a look. This one, in terms of proportion wise, is significantly smaller compared to the 99 years, making up only about 6% consistent in the last 2 quarters. Okay, so for resale house, which make up more than 94% per se, it's not surprising. You have 11% and 4.7, right? And then new houses, where numbers fluctuates a lot more. Very interestingly, this one I had to double check 2 times and 3 times. There's no error in the number, okay? In terms of volume and value is exactly the same at 27 each and 2750. Okay. Pardon the some error in the not error. I think it's the way the graph doesn't want to be drawn in a straight line in a sense. It's 27. So no change yet. But what's interesting to note in the last 6 months is that there's a lot of new houses that are already sold but not factored in. Okay, in particular, if you go to District 15, some of the inter-terraces that were marketed, you ask now, they're actually not in the caveat yet. Okay, in fact, the entire 2026, you don't see any caveat of brand new inter-terrace, but actually they have been sold. It's just that a lot of buyers now are planning a lot longer, having longer options. Okay, therefore the caveats are not lodged. So you will see these transactions coming soon in the next few quarters, if not months. Okay. So resale segment grew more value than new. Okay, last but not least, we have the Strata. Okay, Strata landed. Now, this is not part of total landed, but if we were to lump the two up together in terms of percentage, now this is quite similar to the 99 years, right? In terms of percentage, just now we have 86, 14 in a sense, so it's about 88, slightly more than 10%. Okay, slightly more than 10%. Okay, so how did Strata landed do? So the volume is quite flat, -2%, but again, a new record is set. Pardon me, all right? 3.4% is, we have crossed the 1,000 mark for consecutively for the last few quarters already, but now we are first time crossing 1,050, all right? Closer to 1,001. I think maybe in time to come, when affordability still remains an issue and more buyers decide to choose Strata landed, you will see that crossing the 1,001 quite soon. Okay, see here. Okay, new record has been set. Okay, after the 10 highlights, next we go to the very interesting part, which is a lot more relevant to you, okay, because we are all, I think, very familiar with geographical segmentation, the various areas, and some of you have a lot of preferences as well in terms of where you want to move to, all right, in terms of the buyers, okay? So, and with this, before we start sharing, perhaps you can share with us whether you have any preference, right, in terms of the district that you are looking at. Is being shared. Just hold on. Can you all see the poll? Okay, just hold on. Okay, launching. My fellow ICs now are staring at the results. Okay, because every webinar, it changes. This is the one thing that actually changes every webinar, all right? Depending on maybe how active, how aggressive my various consultants are inviting their guests per se. Okay, maybe 10 more seconds for you all to just put your poll. Okay, are you looking at 10, 11, 13, 14, etc.? I think I keep mentioning these 11 districts. I'll explain in a while. Some of you may feel a bit you shortchange or disadvantage. Why do you always voice this others? Why do you always put me at the others per se? Okay, I'll come to that in a while. Okay, so let's share the poll. Can you all share the results? Okay, so most interested, the one that has the most number of participants, 31% is District 19, followed by, no, actually 15 and 19. All right, I will have to disappoint you that we are not sharing 15 and 19. Later, I'll explain why. And then followed by District, let me see, 21. Okay, interesting. Quite a strong growth here. Okay, in terms of the interest. Okay, but don't worry, we'll come to that in a while. I'll still cover certain parts of it. Okay, with this, let me explain why the 11 districts are chosen, right? This is what HLD coined for many years already as the core landed. Nobody calls this, not URA as well, because they use the CCR, RCR, etc., which we find not as relevant. A lot of landed clients are very confused by that because those are, I think, mainly more, I think, your HDB, etc. Because the way the landed geographical areas are clustered is not easy for you to understand, or not as easy or relevant. Okay, so we decided to cluster basically the 11 districts that make up almost 85, 86% of all the transactions together. And you should be familiar with many of this. Okay. The rest, not that they are not important. It's just that the volume of sales there is much lower compared to the rest. Okay. So usually, or especially starting the organization of my team, we don't form a team there to target per se. Okay. So the core districts can see was 82%. Now it's about 84% of all total sales, right? And followed with the non-core about 16%. Okay, so if this is your first time, this chart will be interesting to you. Again, quarter one to this quarter, from quarter one, 5. Okay, take a look at the volume first, is plus 10%, right? So you can see, I'll draw your attention to core and non-core. Among the 10%, okay, core districts actually increased by 13%, right? And then non-core actually has suffered a slight drop of one unit per se. So the districts that drove, I think, this 10% growth all came from core districts, right? Core districts, of which you can start to see, pardon me. Okay, so you can see the numbers up there as well. And sorry, pardon me, you can see here. So I didn't highlight. So from here at minus that, you can see the best performing district is, in terms of quantity, is East Region, okay, plus 49%. And the worst one, in terms of the highest drop, is West Region, where East and West, they have a different fate this time around. How did East grew so much? Because you can see the performance here, 14, 15, 16 all grew very significantly, right? 14, especially District 16. And then for the decline, the West Region, because 21 and the 23 all decline, okay? All decline by more than 20% each. Yeah, so far. Of course, you're wondering, or you may be asking, this is volume. I'm only going to transact one unit. How does that affect me? Okay, besides telling you that I think in terms of supply, demand, it has an indirect effect on price, but I think the next slide will be able to share with you will be more relevant, okay, which is in value, right, in value. Again, remember the 4.2%, okay, at the bottom. So now if you take a look at all the districts on the right side, so majority are positive, okay, with the exception of two negatives. So let's just highlight. We won't go through individual districts, one plus one, one by one. So today we're going to look at District 16, which is has grown by very significant 20%, okay, and District 11 by 7% for different reasons, okay, for very, very different reasons. Later when you hear from the ICs, you understand, I'll be quite amazed. Even if a small country like Singapore, such disparity will happen, all right? Talking about disparity, you also have the negative, the declines, and you have District 21 leading the decline with a minus 7%. We were hoping for D21 to hit 2,000 per square feet, but they slipped backwards, okay, to under 1,009. Cindric will explain later. And District 20, minus 4%, slightly less significant. In negative or slightly less growth month, minus 4% is not a very bad result because they're still about 2.3 to 2.2, okay? But in the month or in a quarter where most districts are performing well, unfortunately, District 20 has to take the throne, okay? Or be the decline, biggest decline. Now, for those who are in the others, don't worry, we also have a chart to show you. We will not go into the details, but you can see from here that the non-core districts in terms of value grew less than the core districts, okay? The core districts. Okay, so far, right? Some of these are quite interesting. The 5,000 plus, for example, this is a very small shop house, for example, at Blair. We have all the details, by the way, if you need to understand. If not, you can also go to URA to check as well. Okay, what can we conclude about value? The core districts grew by 3.3, non-core is 1.6. Okay, best performing, District 16, then followed by 11, and then 21 and 20. Now, this four indices forms, I think, the rationale and the reason why we decide to feature or dive much deeper into these four districts in the next half an hour. Okay, so we shall now look into, can you see this four, right? This is how we dive into it. So the 11, 16, and 21, 20 and 21. So the first one to share with us, coincidentally, they are all on the left side of this picture. All right. So we'll have first Michael for districts to share with us about District 16. Okay. Michael, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Willie. Good evening. I'm Michael. I will cover District 16. As you can see from the map here, we have got 5 subsectors. And how does the District 16 perform? Let's look at the figures. At a glance, we see an increase by 125% from 24 to 54 transactions. Average price marginally increased by 0.7% to now a 5 million mark. And the average PSF increased double digit, 19.3%, and to 1937 PSF. If you look at this average price chart, starting from left to right, Terrace, we see a decline by 3%. Corner Terrace in the green color, 7.8%. Semi-D went up by 5.8%. And the last one, detached in brown, 5.1%. Let's look at the figure to see more specific detail, right? As shown down here, Terrace 3% decrease, dropped down to 3.9 mil. Average PSF increased by 3.1% to a new high of above 2005 PSF. Corner Terrace, however, dropped 7.8% to 4.6 mil, and the average PSF also decreased by 6.3 to 1699 PSF. Semi-D performed better, right? Average price increased 5.8% to now 5.6 mil. And the average PSF increase is also double digit, 22% to 1811 PSF. Detached house, we see an increase by 5.1% to 8.5 mil, and a double digit decline, 11% to 1377 PSF. What are the top performer here? We start off with Freehold 99, right? The lowest quantum in District 16 now is 3.8 million for this terrace house at 3 Jalan Tanjung. And on the right, the lowest PSF is 1353. At this semi-detached at 66 Jalan Anjing Laut. At the upper end, we have got this highest quantum is 10.68 mil. This is actually detached at 3 Bedok Rise. And on the right, highest PSF, this is the highest, 3567 for terrace that is under construction. And if you look at the price, it is priced at 7.1 million. That accounts for a high PSF, one of the highest. Leasehold 99, the lowest PSF is 2.7, and if you compare to the freehold just now, it was 3.8. So there's still a difference between leasehold and freehold terrace, 1 million. And on the right, the lowest PSF is 691 PSF, relatively lower. What accounts for it is because this semi-D single story had got a big land of 3,962, and the price tag is only 2.738. That accounts for a low PSF. On the higher end here, highest quantum is 3.68 mil for this corner terrace at 31 Eastwood Terrace. And the highest PSF on the right is 1817 at 23 Limau Terrace. Let's look deeper. As shown earlier, the transaction volume actually gone up 125%, attributed to an addition of 30 transactions. And of these 30, you can see down here, terrace house account for 26, right? 26 of these 26, 23 are terrace and 3 is corner terrace. So this actually accounts for the increase in transaction in the D16. PSF perspective, as you can see down here, we have a substantial increase in transaction above the 2,000. In Q1, it's only 25%, 6 transactions, versus Q2, 24 transactions, 44%. Almost half of it are above the 2,000. What's the reason for it? Is that you see a transformation of Bedok South Precinct, which will see two more MRT station coming out, Bedok South and Sungai Bedok MRT along the Thompson East Coast Line. And comparatively, in terms of pricing, more attractive if you look at nearby District 15. So more people are coming here to buy property, and it's actually performed very well in D16. Now, these are the 5 top transactions above 2,000 PSF. From left to right, the one that is Terrace is a rebuild, is 3,567 PSF as shown earlier. Next is a semi-D. This is a brand new at 3,161. And then next to it is the Terrace original state 2,938 PSF. And another one, Terrace renovated 2,544. With the last one, top 5 is Corner Terrace Original. There are 3 factors that contribute to high PSF. One is either the building is rebuilt or it's a brand new. Secondly, it is renovated because the value will go up. And the third factor is that the land area is relatively small. The smaller it is, the higher is the PSF. As you can see down here, the Terrace size are 1,006, 1,007. We have got more information in our data. You reach to us and we'll be more willing to share with you. I have got 4 listings to recommend for those people who are looking to buy in D16. Firstly, we have this Terrace, brand new, price at 6.3 mil. It comes with 7 bedroom and 8 bathroom. Next is a Corner Terrace, and this Corner Terrace is actually a leasehold. Price 4.2 million only. Look at the specification. Land area is 4,004. The build-up is 4,008. So if you have got a budget issue, go for a leasehold semi-D. Next is semi-D that we have got here, Seabreeze Road. Now this is a very unique semi-D because it has got a Balinese architectural design. It comes with a lift, with a pool, and the 5 bedroom are very spacious, priced at 8.38 mil. And the last one that I have to share here is actually, this is a detached at Jalan Pari Burong. What's the price tag? 9.8 million. This price tag has been reduced from the original 8.5. Very attractive. And if you look at the statistic here, the land size is 4,003 square feet and got a massive build-up area of 11,900, attribute to what you call 8 all-en-suite large bedroom. And you can actually park 3 cars in this semi-D. So this is actually a good buy. Contact us and we will help you to close. Last but not least is that we still have got other listings here as shown on this slide. You are welcome to contact us and we will be more than willing to serve you. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you. Who's next? I pass on to Willie. Will, sorry.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. My name is Will from District 10 and 11. So today I'm going to showcase you this particular area, District 10 itself. So again, District 10 dissect into 5 different sectors. Sorry, yeah. So a quick glance on D10. So in total number of transactions, we have seen a significant increase by 14. In total, everything was in blue, including, there's some technical issue on our side. No worry. In fact, today we're going to showcase the District 10, District 11, but hence the chart District 10 was being showcased instead. So let's dive into District 10 instead. Okay. So in terms of numbers, everything has increased. Everything is in the sea of blue. So quite positive for D10 and including D11 per se. All right. So let's jump into the numbers. Okay. You can basically, you will see the price, the only decrease that we have are in terms of PSF for Terrace and the detached. All right. With detached having a big drop due to there are more resale houses rather than brand new that is being transacted this quarter too. All right. If not, GCB have performed, have outperformed, I think in general, most of them. All right. So these are the couple of houses that has been transacted recently with the highest PSF, with the lowest price and the lowest PFS. One of them is the GCB. Okay. And next, the higher quantum, again, GCB, this unit, Nasim, has transacted at 64 million. And of course, the higher PSF, a brand new house for a Fern Hill, a brand new build, a semi-D, which has with a land size of 3003. But in our this URA data, we captured it as in the total land. So you will see a slight, different in terms of PSF, but the actual PSF transacted is 4,595. Okay. But if you go and look back into this GCB area, you will for this Nasim. So you can see the sold price has really touched $4,550, okay, in PSF. So dive deep in, okay. You will see in general, be it 10 or 11, most of the houses hover between the 8 million to more than 20 million. All right. What makes up bulk of this number are generally the semi-D for District 10. Just this quarter, D10 sold quite a fair bit of semi-D that has crossed this mark. In fact, most of the semi-D that has transacted recently has crossed the 9 million mark or more. Okay, here are some of the semi-D sold recently. You can see the sold price are above the 9 million to 13. Especially this Jalan Tupai, closer to Orchard, has transacted at 13.8, a resale house. Okay, so with GCB being said, has the highest in terms of price increment and increment in PSF. Okay, you will then see this couple of houses that make the in terms of volume, in terms of PSF high. And of course, you will realize these two number 52 and 54 Belmont side by side, owned by one owner. These two plot, if you're going to combine, has transacted more than 60 million. All right. So houses that cross the 3,000 mark. What are the houses that cross the 3,000 mark? Are generally the semi-D in general. And of course, there's also Terrace that make out this, but in this quarter, 41% of it really has crossed the 3,000, and most of them happens to be your semi-D as well. All right. So some of the hot listing that's available in our inventory, check it out. If you have any interest, just give us a call. So these are the inventory that we have for D10. Now I'm going to hand over the airtime to Pico. So Cindric to illustrate more on about D21.
Okay, thanks, Will. Hi, I'm Cindric. I'm in charge of the West Region, District 21, 23. So today I'm going to talk about D21 because it's one of the lowest transaction in terms of both volume and price. So, but there are reasons behind it, of course. So at first glance, there are less activities happening previous quarter in Q2, 31%, but actually translate to just about 8 units difference. First quarter was 26 units. This second quarter was 18 units. So my math correct, no? Yeah, 8 units difference lah. So okay. So average PSF, you realize that there's an increase by 2%. Okay. Whereby if you actually look at the outlier, right? Okay, what happened was of the 18 units transacted, 4 of them were actually we call this how to put it, 99-year leasehold properties with just a short remaining lease available. 3 of which the lease was just down to about 24 years, and then one of them the lease was just only left with 33 years. So these are what we call outlier transactions. If you take that into consideration, you take them out, in actual fact, the price has actually increased by, instead of 2, it was 25%. From 7.1 mil, it actually jumps to a difference of 8.9. So yeah, in case you think D21 is really underperforming and it's good time to enter the market, like again, actually it's performing pretty decently, I would say, right? So PSF wise, so this is what I really asked me to explain why there's a drop of 7.1%. Well, the reason is very simple. Likewise, due to the 4 outlier transactions again, the 4 out of 18, 24 years to 33 years remaining lease left. Okay, so if you remove these outlier transactions, the PSF actually increased by 13.1%, right? So, okay, these are the graph charts. I leave it to you to look at it yourself. So I shall touch a little bit on the number that really jumps out from this next slide over here. You look at the corner terrace. Wow, it seems like, wow, corner terrace is crazy. The number is like red by huge double digits, 20 plus, 30 plus, and 20 plus percent. When in actual fact, what happened was there was a big plot in Sunset. That's the only one, in fact, transacted in Q1. And this particular plot is along Sunset Terrace. It's a really moving condition corner terrace. Perpetually, you don't need to do much. You can just pack your bags and move in, even though it's resale. So it was transacted, and it's a huge plot. Okay, it was transacted at a pretty high price at PSF versus 3 other corner terrace that was transacted, which is just like pretty decent size, normal size. So thereby, it cost the figure. It kind of skewed the figure, to look like as if there's a huge impact on the corner terrace. But that's the reason why we are here to explain to you what actually lies behind the transactions. So you guys will have a clearer picture, understand. Yeah, in case you go and tell seller, hey, corner terrace now is performing terribly, which is not really the case. So there's always reasons behind each transactions. Okay. This is where HLD consultants is here for, to guide you guys along. Right, I want to touch a little bit on the semi-D as well, okay, because number seems pretty large differences. Basically, in short, they are actually, remember the outlier transaction I told you about? Yeah, so part of which are, yeah, no, in fact, I think most of them, all the 4 of them are semi-Ds. So the outlier transactions, quantum is low, PSF is low. Naturally, then it drags down the PSF. In fact, the PSF of those outlier transactions were 3 digits. That means it's lesser than 1,000 PSF, right? So you can see the reason why it kind of impacted the transactions. Okay, detached houses, basically in Q2, right? All the 4 transacted detached houses, why the price increased so much is because they were all of large plot of above 7,500 square feet, all at Sunset. Okay. And then why the drop in terms of PSF was because also last quarter, the 6 detached that was sold, 4 also from Sunset. Okay, of which 2 of them were brand new ones. So as you know, brand new ones, usually the PSF is higher. Whereas this time around, all resale. The second quarter, not this time around. Second quarter, all resale. First quarter, there are a couple of brand new ones. So that's why there's a disparity in terms of the PSF, right? So briefly, this is the kind of summary of what went on in the last quarter. Okay, some of the chart toppers here, Yuk-Tong, I'll go through faster. Okay, lowest quantum was this house at Yuk-Tong Avenue. Okay, even though it's renovated, as you can see from the picture, okay, it's transacted at 4.8. Now, interestingly, even though it was the lowest quantum transaction, but you look at the PSF, it was 3,000 plus. Okay, of course, given that the land is slightly smaller than normal minimum 1,615 square feet for a terrace house. But yeah, the dichotomy is lowest quantum, yet PSF is so high. Okay, interesting. Okay, then this lowest PSF went to this huge plot, 8,400 square feet. This is one of the transaction I told you about just now. Okay, at Sunset. Okay, and highest one, Sunset again, 16 million. Huge plot again. This one renovated. That's why. So it was transacted at 60 mil. Okay, it comes with a pool, kind of moving condition, it's tenanted. right? And then the highest PSF went to this house. This one is really wow, this is quite scary. This one is at Hua Guan, okay, area 9C. This one is kind of a bit outlier because it's not brand new, it's renovated. Okay, given it's inter terrace, but I was quite surprising. It transacted actually at 3,900. But you realize that because um, terrace houses, you want to find any movie condition terrace houses below 5 mil is getting more and more rare. So for Hua Guan area, it's still a zip code, it's still Bukit Timah zip code. Thereby, I can understand why, because the quantum is still palatable to some. If they want to go for condition like this for semi-D Hua Guan, they will have to fork up probably 2 million more, right? So yeah, take note, right, for this. Yeah. How come the words okay? But anyway, okay, deeper dive. I want to touch a bit on Sunset since we talk about quite a fair bit about Sunset. Okay, so this time around, interestingly, houses at Sunset Enclave continues to garner pretty good demand. 6 transactions and then 6 transactions this time around, of which 4 were detached houses. Okay, so you realize that actually Q2 transactions results. What am I trying? Okay, continue. Okay, as seen from past 2 quarters lah. Okay, these 2 quarters actually, despite 67% of them were transacted above 10 mil, right? Okay, so some of the draw I feel Sunset, even though they are pretty, pricey above 10 mil, still performing well. In fact, the best performer for Q2 is because some of the draw is because of its close proximity to Holland. If you've been to Sunset, you realize it's a beautiful enclave. Okay, close to Holland, close to Bukit Timah. Other likely unique selling features that draws people is because of the plot dimension. Okay, if you've been to Sunset, you realize the detached houses are chopped such that their frontage is wide. It's not just 10 meters, it can be 20 meters, 18 meters. Very squarish the way the plots are being chopped. Okay, and they are, of course, of larger plot size, not just 4,000 plus, but 7,000 plus, 10,000 plus. So this is the uniqueness about Sunset houses. So for buyers with the capacity, the ability to enter into a detached market and can afford 10 mil, Sunset is really a huge draw. All right. So as you can see, the average prices here actually jump pretty significantly. Okay, so for Q1, you notice this is a houses 13 plus mil, 13 plus mil. Okay, these are the 2 brand new ones that I mentioned about. The PSF was higher, 2.5 plus, 2.3 plus. 2.3 in fact is considered low already, PSF for brand new ones. Okay, but they were all above 10 mil. Okay, then Q2, the momentum continues, 13 mil, 16 mil. Of course, these are slightly bigger plot, 8,000 square feet. Okay, then 13 plus mil, and then 14 plus mil. Also very sizable plots. So this is Sunset for you. If you want to find a huge, nice detached plot like this, come to me. I'll bring you to Sunset, right? Okay, so of course we have more to tell you, but due to time factor, this is what we can cover thus far. So quick hot listings that we have in the market. This house is currently, in fact, garnering a lot of demand because of its proximity to Beauty World MRT. And then we have another, this one also very near to Beauty World MRT, but bigger plots, so commanding above 10 mil. Okay, both are fixer upper, but if you don't mind the current layout, it's good enough to just renovate and move in. All right. Okay, then we have this detached house. Why I feature this house is because good land plot, and we look at the PSF is low. Okay, palatable. And of course, GCB, we have GCB as well in Binjai Park area. This one is sitting on a 15,000 square feet. Okay, nice house number as well. Okay, so these are the rest of the listings we have in D21. Feel free to approach us if you're looking at D21. Next, I shall hand the time over to Nicole, who will touch on District 20.
So these are the sub-zoning for District 20. I won't touch too much on this. So moving on, at a glance of D20, we saw a volume drop of 26%, fewer transaction, but we wouldn't say that there's few buyers are walking away from buying the units in District 20 because you see that average price actually increased by 5.9% to 5.6. So at a quieter quarter in District 20, but the price is still going up, so it doesn't really reflect like a weakening demand. So probably a limited supply, or owners are actually holding on to the units. Whereas for PSF, it drops by about 4.3% to about 2,200 PSF. I mean, it really reflects like a buyer are moving away from smaller, high PSF plot of land and towards like a mix of other property types. Okay, so these are the chart that earlier HLD Analyzer are able to show you. Okay, moving on. Okay, so for here, what does it mean for you? So in Terrace, we see an increase of price by 2.9% to a record of about 4.8 million. Whereas for PSF, it decreased by about 10.4%. So why so? Because back in Q1 for District 20, we have about 5 to 6 units of like the smaller ones, like below 1,500 square feet of land. That's why a smaller land usually like contribute to a higher PSF. So, but for Q2, most of the land that are transacted are above 1,006 square feet. So that's why contributing to a lower PSF. Then whereas for semi-D, we saw a decrease of price, not quite marginal, about 100,000 difference, but PSF actually increased by a 12.2%. Why so? Because back in Q2, we actually have like three freehold brand new houses that are being transacted. So usually, you know, brand new houses actually bring up the PSF. Then whereas for Q1, it's just like one brand new freehold house that's being sold. But similarly, for both quarter, we see like original houses transacted. But because for Q2, those original houses are more of like a renovation grade, move-in ready versus Q1, which you probably have to tear down, rebuild. So there's an increase of the PSF in that from less than 2,000 to above 2,002. Then the outlier for detached, right? For the PSF increase you see is like a major more than 90% increase from 1,003 PSF to more than 2,500. So why so is that in Q1, there's two huge detached being sold, more than 7,000 square feet of land, both single story, but they are irregular plot of land, which you probably will have to rebuild. Versus Q2, we have this really beautifully renovated detached. That's why you don't have to do any renovation selling at above 2,500. Okay, so some of the chart toppers record setting transaction in D20. Okay, so here we see the lowest quantum 2.8 million. But you see that at Casuarina, this one is a single story. Land size is 1,004, but PSF is actually almost 2,000 PSF. So this one probably, I think you have to rebuild or major like reconstruction. And versus the lower PSF at below 1,002. So this one is at one drive. This land is more than 5,000, very good land size, but the shape is not very regular and it's actually situated like along Ang Mo Kio Avenue 1. So the location, the condition, they actually have different call for the quantum and the PSF. Next on, we'll see the highest quantum, as I mentioned earlier, move-in condition, this unit that is being sold by our team, calling at 9.6 million, and PSF wise is very palatable at 2,500 because it's really beautiful and move-in condition with like basement. And versus brand new, which is now easily asking for above 3,000 PSF at Leban. Land size is about 2,000 shy. Okay, moving on. So deeper dive, interesting trends and their implication for D20. So as mentioned earlier, the volume actually decreased by 26% from 42 units to 31 units, about 11 units different. So even though there are fewer transactions, the price-wise is still increasing by 5.9%. So it may indicate that the market is actually remain supply constrained rather than demand driven. And another interesting that I want to note is that we see that the demand actually migrated from Terrace to semi-D. So Terrace, there's a drop of 41%, whereas semi-D saw about 38% increase. So buyers with budget, they are actually trading up rather than competing for the smaller terraces. Okay, then for here, transaction value for Terrace, we see a sea of red in the PSF. However, for the sales value, it's actually increased to about 4.8 million. So for within Terrace, we can see that the budget actually stretched, but the PSF actually like reduced. So buyers are still willing to commit to higher price point, but PSF wise, because they're actually moving away from those like less than 1,000 square feet of land towards a larger one, because in Q2 we have there are more than 1,600 square feet. Okay, lastly is the value and volume. So you can see Q1 and Q2, the buyers are actually moving up the value chain. Why so? So for those that are below 4,000 million, Terrace is actually disappearing with just 5 deals under 4 million versus Q1, 8 deals. And you see that price point from 6 to 7 million, it grew by 50%, which makes up at least like 29% of the whole Q2 transactions. Okay, so if you need to know more details about District 20, you can approach any of your preferred Huttons Lender Division consultant. Then, and some of the listing that we'd like to share in District 20. So we have a couple of brand new ones, terraces. And if you want anything that's below 5 million, we have one on the left side that is asking for 4.5, which is lower than what is transacted, 4.8. And then brand new ones you can see is easily above 3,000 PSF. Okay, and we have a very interesting corner terrace that is land size more than 3,000 and PSF is lower than average at a shy 2,000 PSF. So same thing, anything you want to talk about all this listing, you can actually contact us to know more. So with this, I'll pass on to Willie to do conclusion.
Thank you, Biko, Cindric, Will, and of course, Michael. How do you find the 4 district highlights? Do you want to know more? Yes, no, just now we just had an appeal. Let me see, District 10, 11, pardon me. Not Will's fault, we had a technical error just now between 10 and 11. Just to clarify, but 11 will also be covered in the recording as I mentioned earlier. All right, so if you don't want to miss this, you can always watch our recording. Probably we will upload it next Monday once all the editing is done. Hui Min, thank you so much for your interest. Maybe you can call Will for a special one-to-one. Okay. All right. So let's conclude for today. All right. Outlook. I think most of you are keen to know how we feel. Again, in the absence of, I don't know, the ability to know what's going to happen in the future. We are on the ground every weekend. I think if you know about landed transactions, what happens now, this weekend, last weekend, usually translates to transactions in the next quarter. I think that gives us the confidence, right? Market insights are invaluable for the reason. That's how my teammates, firstly, because of our clients who work with us, also benefit from that as well. Because we are now working with a lot of buyers, a lot of sellers, and most of these are going to be transacted. So how do we foresee the next 1, if not 2 quarters? Okay, so these are, I won't even say bold, I think our measured assumptions or predictions. Okay, and of course, importantly, the recommendations. Actually, in the many webinars, I think we try to dissect it into too many so-called factors, but actually we realize a lot of the factors are recurring, right? Geopolitical uncertainties or factors, which frankly, after so many quarters and not so many years, Singapore has proven to be resilient. But this time round, we just focus on 2, if not 3 factors. Okay. Now, first thing is we feel that the average price, either PSF or average transactor price, will continue to rise okay, for the second half of the year, but at a slower rate, not at the 4 to 5%, slower rate of 2 to 3%, due to general slower growth in the economy, okay, and also less optimistic employment outlook as well. So even though now, I think when you read the market, we already hear from the ground that is very uneven. Okay, just now, was it Michael who used the word polarizing? I hope this doesn't become how Singapore economy or the job market is going to be, right? So you have the AI, high-tech side, even for manufacturing, leading, I think, a lot of the growth in terms of GDP. But there are other services sector, other more non-AI related segments. I think not just, we can see that firstly from the job losses or the retrenchments, etc., right? So for that, I think is creating a lot of uneasiness, okay, in the market. And we already have clients who are, while they still have a job, they are a bit uncertain about what's going to happen in the next few years. And hence, in terms of movement and motivation to enter the market will be a lot less, okay? But however, I think the foundations of the economy, of the market is still very, very strong. So you will still continue to grow, okay? But just at a slower rate, right? What is, however, will be true, which we're a lot more confident, is that houses will take a longer time to sell, okay? If the demand for resale, HDB condo upgraders continues to slow down. As of now, we're already seeing, not just I think on the condo side, even for landed, is dragging in a sense because the buyers, a lot of the buyers are very hesitant because they need to sell. A lot of our deals with interested parties, they are held back because buyers are not able to sell off their condos. I'm not just talking about the 4, 5 million, we're talking about 7, 8 million. It's basically a chain effect, right? Even the 12 million ones that we have say, I need to sell my 7, 8 million, right? I myself, I'm doing a 7 plus. I have 3 buyers, okay, waiting. All of them needs to sell their current condos, which are priced between $4 to $5 million, for example. So if the condos are not able to be sold, I think this will translate into the landed market as well. All right. With this and other factors that I have mentioned, we personally feel that the overall transaction volume, not for the entire, but for the second half of the year, right, will be lower than by the first half. First half now we have about 900 units. We believe that this for second quarter probably hover around 800 units, right? 780 or 800 units based on what we are seeing so far. Right? Not forgetting that quarter 4 is going to be a slow quarter. Okay. Okay. What is important is that variation in performance amongst the various segments. I think we have shown you just now in the 10 highlights, right? Given just 2 main numbers, volume and value, it's not important. It's not enough. You really have to see how these 2 numbers translates down into the various sub-segments. Okay, we have divided just now into many ways, and if we use the analyzer to go in, frankly, I can split up a lot further. So I think for stakeholders in the market like you, even like my teammates and our co-broke partners as well, I think a deeper understanding of the lender market, the micro factors is very, very important. Okay. So before you want to, I think, put a price point on what is the fair market value, for example. We always say this, and we still will say this because most landed properties, one of the reasons why we like this segment as well, is not just an investment product where it's just a purely dollar sign, right? It's a financial decision. A lot of you are deciding to sell, buy because of very personal reasons, retirement, upgrading, schools, etc. So with that also means there's a lot of family members' needs that have to be taken into consideration. So do always consider this, something that I think a lot of teammates and I myself just finished a 3-hour pitch to a client, all right, just yesterday. 3 hours, I think 2 hours was spent understanding really why do they need to sell this house before they move to the next, okay, before we come into and factoring let you understand more of the market. That part is really, really quite priceless. So find your comfortable consultant, I think, to approach them and embark on this journey, all right, together. Okay, with this, I think this should come towards the end, pardon me. All right, so to find out more what's going to happen in quarter 3, 2 weeks of which have started, the next webinar will be 3 months later on the 15th of October. All right, so remember to tune in and then sign up again. Okay, at this stage, okay, we probably 5 minutes past our targeted duration of 1 hour and 15 minutes. At this point, perhaps you could share with us. Let me just go to this. I think 5 minutes is spent me figuring out all this technical stuff. Just a bit. Please let us know whether you find this useful Oh, sorry. Although this is about 45 minutes shorter than the previous, I hope we have definitely endeavored to prepare all the information that's there. So do let us know how you feel. Maybe you get another poll. Would you like to find out more, right? Again, this is the first time we have cut short from 11 districts to 4 main districts, but the region analysis, all this have been also shared at the beginning as well. Okay. Couple more seconds. Thank you very much. We have a lot of 8s. Sorry, I shouldn't say, not to influence you. We have a lot of 10s, 8s. Thank you. We have 1 under 7. Maybe you could also share with us. Just be direct, let us know so that we can also all improve, right? At the same time. Feedback is very important to everyone in HLD so that we can all understand you all better as well. Okay, I shall end this poll, and maybe I think that probably we'll have some time, 1 or 2 minutes. Let me just see whether you have any questions. Or where's the Q&A slide? Yeah. Do you have anyone of you have any questions now? One of the reasons why we decided to cut it short so that we can cover. District 15, yeah, Nathaniel, yes, we will cover that in the recording. Okay. D5 is not yes. Any other questions? Any other questions that you all want to point out in the chat group? Yes and no, quite active. Okay, Bishal and all this as well. Right. If you have more, again, this is not the end. I hope this is the start of a interesting and productive relationship between you and a Huttons agent, if not you and a HLD landed consultant here. Okay. With this, thank you very much on behalf of the team. My name is Winnie once again, and hope to see you in the next edition of our quarterly landed market analysis, right, held by Huttons Landed Division, on behalf of Huttons Landed Division. Right, have a good night, and we'll see you in 3 months' time. See you.
Good evening, everybody. Will here. So I'm going to bring you into D11 to have a peek at what is happening in District 11. All right. So again, District 11, we segregate the area by different zoning, as stated here. And of course, let's have a glance at what's happening in D11 right now. So as mentioned earlier in District 10 webinar, there's all blue in D10. Same goes to D11 with 36 more transaction compared to last quarter one, and with PSF increased by a slight margin of 1.3%, and PSF of 5.9. And this is a chart where we segregate or break down the terrace and corner terrace individually, so to have a clearer picture of what's happening on the entire market. So coming into District 11, you will see that average price for a terrace based on URA data, where terrace and corner terrace are lumped together, there's a significant drop in price of 7%. From 7.9 million to 6.6 million today. And of course, a PSF, well, still increasing with 8.3%, crossing the 3,100 PSF mark, while semi-D has performed one of the best in terms of value of price and PSF. Okay, with average price of 10.5 million today. Last quarter one, I was telling you that the PSF for semi-D has hovered at 9.5, now has increased further, and of course PSF also increased too along the way. So whereas for detached this time round, there's a significant drop. Mainly there are previous quarter we have bigger plot of land that's being sold at a higher price, and this time around the price wise actually dropped. Okay, sorry, it should be increased. Sorry, my bad. There's some typo error. It should be increased by 25.7%, as well as an incremental of PSF of 2,680 dollars PSF compared to last quarter at 2,002. Okay, while GCB there's nothing transacted quarter one. Okay, so what sets the record? Have a look. The lowest quantum is one of the terrace house that is sold in Swiss Club View, a very obsoleted location, far-fetched from the road, but again, it has transacted across the 5 million mark. So another house, a detached with the lowest PSF of 1736. This is a very interesting location, moment rise, which I will also highlight to you at the end of the slightly later on in my slide. Okay, same thing happened at this moment rise. This unit transacted at 44.2 million with a record PSF of 3,684, though it's not the highest, but along the street, this is one of the highest. And of course, the brand new house that has crossed the 4,000 mark, a detached home at Keng Hock area. Okay, so in terms of growth compared to Q1, Q2, these two house type has experienced a significant growth. The terrace and the detached, okay, 33% and 40%, but semi-D also performs rather well in terms of PSF and price, which we're going to show you shortly. So these are the three houses that push up the average price, as mentioned, 10 million, 10.5 million. So these are the semi-D that push up the price from the previous quarter, 9.7, with an increasing PSF of 3.1%, which is 2,975. All right. So next is our terrace. Now, after taking off all the corner terrace, you will see the average price of the terrace and average PSF of the terrace itself. So average price of terrace itself has really cost a $3,300 mark. All right, while the price average price was somewhere about close to 6.2, slightly shy of 6.2, of which all these terrace that is sold, you can see those that is nearer to school and convenient, such as Wharton and Shefford, command a relatively higher price. Next, the detached. Okay. Sorry, my bad. This is actually a minus because I think I swapped the thing over. So detached wise, okay, 27% decrease. As mentioned, last quarter, there is bigger plot of land that's being transacted. Now, all this land that's being sold are generally the smaller plot, okay, the 4,000 plus in size or maybe 5,000, minus off all the brand new one. Okay, there's hardly brand new one that, okay, there's some brand new one that is sold, but there's more older one that's being transacted as well. So PSF wise increased. Okay, so here are the price, but knowing that, okay, I just highlight this house. Okay, this house was at the certain location of District 11, especially those I mean at Berrima, Keng Hock area. It tends to transact higher, okay, in terms of the location because it's a only detached zone. Okay, average price over there, or rather the price transacted, I would say quite consistently is above the 3,000 mark, $3,300 mark. But again, there's also some older house that is transacted at 2.8. But this is the general number that we see in the past data due to the houses with a better condition. All right. So earlier I did mention about moment rise. You will see these two units, number 32 moment rise with a land size of only 7,000, slightly shy of 7,100, and the other one is a relatively bigger plot, a 12,000 land size that has transacted at 44 million, okay, with a high PSF of 3,006. Okay, you will see both same location but different price, different PSF. Why is it so? This unit can probably, okay, these two plot of land sits on a mixed development land with a plot ratio of 2.8. Okay, with a plot ratio of 2.8. It means 26 moment rise can be converted into a boutique apartment, while 32 moment rise, because of the land size below the 10,000, it can only remain as a landed housings. So this house would likely, if let's say developer buy over, would likely be a pair of semi-D, while 26 Moment Rise would be likely to become a high-rise building. Okay, so deep dive, we have some of the hot listings that's available on our site for your consideration. Two brand new houses, a terrace house at Tan Seng Bo, and a brand new Chancery Hill Road collection, 8 unit, 4 unit of semi-D and 4 unit of detached. Okay, this is something which is that has drawn quite a fair bit of attention on for buyers on ground. All right. Next, upcoming house that we have is this unit at Gold Hill and a GCB at Swiss Club. Okay, these are the list of houses that we have in our inventory. If you're keen to know more, please reach out to any of our consultants who have engaged you or have invited you.
Hi, I'm Jason. Today I'm actually sharing with you for District 13. Yeah. Okay, hold on a minute. I try to touch a little bit. So, quick glance on District 13. We have less active with 5% lesser transaction. Actually, D13 and D13 generally transaction is moving around like in the range of between 15 to 20. So the last round, the difference is only like probably 1 to 2 listing, 2 transactions. So not much of a difference. As for price decrease by 10.5% from 7 to mainly contribute from the semi-D side, which I will share more. On price increase, nothing significant, only 2.2%. I will jump a little bit more on the chart over here where you can see. So this is where the changes is. These are actually from our HLD Analyzer to share more. So from there you can see actually Q1 to Q2 for Inter and Corner Terrace. We don't see very much different, a little bit. So only for semi-D, as you can see on the green color chart, there's a significant drop of 28%. Mainly some of the semi-D smaller plot of land, so causing the price to drop as compared to last quarter. So that's why we are seeing a sharp drop. As for detached, what we are seeing from here, the average is 14.7. I mean, there's the average, which is jump of 33%. In actual fact, the increase actually, some of later I will show more. There are two big plot of land closing at between in the range of 17 and 23 million. That's why we are seeing a sharp increase also for detached. So this is what we actually in detail as what we actually shared just now on the chart. We are seeing not much changes for terrace. For the corner terrace, we are seeing here some increase, slight increase for the price. As for PSF, I think mainly some of the plot size for corner terrace are smaller. That's why with the closing price, we are seeing a higher PSF. So semi-D, which is what I mentioned just now, you can see it's a rustic drop from 9.4 because some of the smaller plot of land as compared to last quarter, it actually closed smaller in terms of the average value. So on detached, we are seeing on the price range, as mentioned earlier, there's two big plot of land closing at up to 23 million. So therefore the PSF decreased because of the price and the plot size actually bigger. So it bring down actually drastically on the PSF. So on the chart topper, we can see, I always say it in my every quarter sharing, McPherson Garden is always the lowest quantum being because you can see that the land size is always less than 1,000 in McPherson Garden. So for those who actually wanted to basic entry level for landed, you can try McPherson Garden with a small land size. You can see that the price is in the range right now. If original in the range of like 2.7 to about 3 million sometimes, maybe slightly more than 1,000. So those who are getting like maybe about 1,000 and build out, they have A&A can be as high as 3.3 million. So on the PSF side lowest, you can see Lingwood. This is mentioned earlier on the plot size, bigger plot size. So, and the closing price, therefore the PSF bring up lower. Highest quantum in contrast is always Brother Height Bungalow Zone. So D13, the only priceless price, actually highest quantum is always at Brother Height, especially when there's a bungalow zone. So you can see this one is almost 15,000 square feet and close at almost 23 million. Yeah, so this is our highest quantum so far. It's good size. You can see huge plot of land. You can easily subdivide, and this is a bungalow zone. Even after you subdivide, you still can easily get 2 bungalow over there after the subdivision. So for for highest PSF, again will be on McPherson Garden, which is Jalan Setia, which is these are the range where wine is highest PSF, because again on the land size is less than 1,000, and you can see this is 3.3. Yeah, so therefore is actually bringing out the PSF. One of the reasons is because they have done a A&A for this unit, so therefore the PSF is higher in terms of the price and because of land size. Jumping deeper, we can see why. Okay, if you compare, just now we mentioned slight change, not much different on the transaction, but in the actual fact, we are seeing there's a rustic chain on Fraser Height and Senior Estate, where you can see one is actually dropping a lot, almost like 71%, while on CNET it's basically increased almost 300%. Mainly Brother Height property only on drop because it's actually only the detached house was transacted. The previous quarter we still see some some semi-D, but for this quarter only the detached are closing transacted. CNET mainly a lot more transacted are actually on Terrace, but this time round the average land size transacted are more than 1,008 PSF. Next, we talk about value, which I mentioned earlier. As you can see on the charts below on the 2 photos, these are 2 main big plot of land where the Q2 price we see drastic change. This is only average price, but in actual fact, it actually closed in the range 17 and 23. On this side is Linwood, and this is the Sutridge Park, where you can easily subdivide it into 2 bungalow, and this is in the bungalow zone. So we have actually more detailed analysis on available, where you can actually check with our HLD consultant who actually invited you. Some of the hot listing that's available for D13 for you to so-called if you are keen. This is at McPherson Garden also. You can see the land size. Jalan Muhibah is at McPherson, very next to Jalan Setia and Jimbira. Good size for you if you are looking at rebuild. This is 2.5 story. Yeah, only 3.3 million. Closing soon. Do approach our consultant so that we can actually hopefully can close with you. And as for the other side, we don't have actually much on corner, so I share with you another inter. This one is actually at Brother Height. This is at Brother Height also. This is at Brother Height. So DC side, you can see that it's almost 1,007, only 4.6, 2 story. This is a 2 story. So good for some A&A or some major rental. Hold on a minute. So on the semi-D and detached, semi-D, we have this at this Jalan Girang. This is at Brother Height as well, likewise for the detached. So all these two are actually at so-called Brother Height. You can see the detached, we have actually one pair of detached, not only one. I just bring out one of them. There are one pair. Expected Q1 by expected TOP Q1 2027 only asking 16.8 nego. Do check with us if you are keen for a brand new luxury bungalow. Okay, these are some of the hot listings that we have that you can approach our landed consultant to get more information. Next, I will go into District 14. In contrast, for 13, we are seeing more active transaction for District 14 with 54% more, mainly on the still. I think main of the transaction are still in Kembangan area. This time around, we are seeing more semi-D and inter-terrace. Average price increased to 8.2%. You can see the rustic changes from here, and then from nothing because there's no transaction here. So Q1, Q2, we are seeing a little bit slight drop. Normally for Kembangan, we don't have much transaction on detached, so not much comparison. As for Inter, we are seeing some price increase, 15%, while semi-D slight. We are seeing a lot on semi-D, which I will share more later on. Okay, the main adjustment, if I will share more, will be on the semi-D, where there's a price increase mainly on semi-D due to the size of the semi-D that is transacted this quarter. Okay, for chart topper, we have the lowest quantum. So far, lowest quantum for D14 mainly are some of the shop houses in Geylang area, where this case either shop houses or terrace, very small plot of land, and it's closing only 3.3. That's in Geylang area. And for the bigger plot of land, at this is Changi, but it's along Kembangan area. So we are seeing a lowest PSF because of the plot size, very big plot size, 7.5. But again, this is also bungalow zone. So even with that size, plot size, you can't, because of the frontage, you can't actually rebuild another subdivide into two. So it's probably 1-to-1. So that's why the price is not very attractive. So it's only 10.4, though with the big size of 7,005. So highest quantum, same, because of the Kembangan. In District 14, we don't have such a lot of those big detached. So again, this is also one of the highest quantum. While on PSF, same thing, it goes to Geylang because of the plot size and the price close. So actually, it bring out the PSF to be the highest for District 14. On deeper drive, we are seeing more transaction as I shared just now earlier. You can see 13 to 20, 54. Where the more main transaction come from is actually semi-D. Actually, previous quarter was only 3 and it actually jumped. Not much for terrace, only about 33. So overall, it actually averaged to about 54% on average. Mainly semi-D this time around, as I mentioned, the plot size mainly are more than 3,000 square feet. So which resulted later in what you will see, what are the changes, why you see the PSF previous quarter only one more than 5,000, more than 2,005 PSF, especially, and for this case, mainly on terrace, previously on corner terrace, but this time round, the transacting is more on average size of 5.3 million. For this case, it's more on the terrace. And the land size now is more than 1,008 That's why it bring out the PSF more than 2005. Yep. So you can see the average transacted price. Okay, for semi-D for Q2 actually crossed 5.5 million. That's the reason why there's a price increase to 26%. Mainly because the land size are 3,002 PSF square feet, except for one brand new semi-D, only below 2,002, but transacted at more than 6 million, which is this pair of semi-D. One was sold and the other one waiting for you to actually, if you are keen, come and buy. I mean, this is a good buy, which is only 6.2 sold. So the next one, probably if you are keen, approach our staff with the build-up of 4.1, come with lift and pool as well. You can easily park 1 to 2 car. So do actually approach our HLD consultant if you are keen for the balance one pair of the semi-D over here. So more detailed analysis available, check with our consultant that invited you. These are some of the hot listing that I have. We have for you on the D14, which is at Lorong. This is it's a small single story, good for rebuild. 3.8 only. I would say it still can be nego. And the other side will be a corner terrace, a very big plot of land, 5,006, going only 1,003 PSF. Yeah, this is a good catch if you want. And if you can see from the photo here, you can easily park 3 to 4 car at this current movement if you don't want to do any rebuild, just A&A. Yeah. So we have this semi-D and detached, both are at Kembangan. You can see that this semi-D is as good as new. So from the photo, you can it come with is back-to-back semi-D. So from the front, it look like a detached. Come with lift and swimming pool. Pool come with jacuzzi as well. It's a good catch. Only 9.6. It's only 2008 PSF. So get our consultant actually arrange for viewing before it was closed soon. On the other side is a detached, yeah, for Jalan Senyang. And this is also at 8.5 only. That's all for me to share. So I will pass to Justin on this District 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin. I'll be showing you the market updates for District 15. Let's see how District 15 performed in Q2 of 2026. So this is how we demarcate the area of District 15 into 4 zones. We have Katong, Chuchet, Teluk Kurau, and Siglap. And to do that, in order for us to know the performance of each zone as well, the pricing performance, the pricings and all that. So in Q2 of 2026, it has been more active, like 46% increase compared to Q1 2026. We're looking at about 52 units in Q1 versus 76 units in Q2. So it's been more active. There are more people like coming into District 15 to buy the landed houses. But if you were to compare to the last year, the same quarter, Q2, it is almost at par, like 71 in Q2 2025 versus the 76 of Q2 2026. And in terms of pricing, it's marginally a decrease of 3.1% from 7.4 million to 7.2 million. It is not that significant, nothing alarm. But if you look at the PSS, remains very stable at 2,560. So it has come to a record where average houses in District 15 is 2,500 PSF. So later on, I'm going to show you in the next few slides to show you what are the houses that contribute to this high PSF. So this chart actually showing you how the bigger quantum of houses that detached houses has decreased a little bit in terms of the average value by 15.3%. I'm going to give you a bit more detail later on in the next slide. And if you look at the semi-D is muted about negative 0.6%, and corner terrace and terraces has increased. So terraces, the average price for terrace has increased by 11.4%, which is quite significant to me. I think because in the past you don't see a double-digit increase. So it's like 4.6 to 5.1 million, which is contributed a lot from the bigger land size, slightly bigger in terms of the average land size that was being bought in Q2. They were being transacted in Q2 2026. And also in terms of PSF, it has also increased by 7% to 2858 PSF. What I'm seeing now is a lot more renovated houses are being stepped up. So I think the buyer nowadays are looking for something to move in so that they don't have to spend time in monitoring the renovation process or even rebuilding and things like that. So that's why hence the PSF, they are willing to pay a bit more premium for renovated houses. But of course, the other note on it would be of the shop houses, residential shop houses in Chuchet that actually has some of them transacted at like close to four or above 4,000 for PSF. Corner Terrace, nonetheless, I would like to draw your attention to, because in the past, like Q1 2026, I talk about a lot more semi-D because there are a lot more semi-D transactions in Q1. So in Q2, actually, there are still a very number of transactions for semi-D, but Corner Terrace has increased quite a fair bit from 3 units in Q1 into 14 units in Q2 2026. Hence, you look at the price now for Corner Terrace, it's cost about 6.2 million, which is in terms of PSF wise, it'll be 2454 PSF and a 9.9% increase, almost close to 10%. Semi-D, I would say nothing alarming. So like price are thereabout, but PSF dropped a little also because of some of the semi-D that was sold either they are near to junction or near to terraces, where that's why, or even some of them are actually, how to put it, the original condition, but they were like transacted as a very value PSF. Later I'm going to show which houses that. For detached, it has decreased by 15.3%. Of course, people will ask, how come detached? Katong is always the sort of, people always look at Katong for detached houses. How come it's dropped like 14 to 12 million? Does it mean that the houses in Katong has depreciated or even lower in prices? Actually, not because of that. It's because of, first of all, it's because of more of the transaction in Q2 2026, the detached are took place in Siglap area. Siglap and Katong, right? Katong is always command a higher price versus detached in Siglap. So hence, more transaction in Siglap, naturally the price, the value will drop a little. And second contributor factor would be the average land size also smaller. So in Q1, we're looking at about 7,000 average, but in Q2, it's about 6,000. Okay, and PSF wise, still hovering about 2,000 for PSF for detached in District 15. Chart topper. Let's look at this. On the left hand side is the lowest quantum, 4 million. So literally, it's actually I would say probably now look at, if you want to buy conserve residential shop houses in District 15, it costs minimum probably around like 4 million and above. So depending if it's renovated, probably you can go for 5 million. Right, a bigger land size could be 6 million now, or even 8 million if those are actually at a very prime streets. Versus the one that we sold like a year ago, it was really good buy because it's only less than 3%. Of course, that because of the land size is quite small, less than 1,000. And on the right hand side is a small lowest PSF. This is what I meant, that the corner terrace where they are selling at only 1,177. This is actually a house where it can be subdivided into a terrace and a corner terrace because the land size is 5,000. Now imagine it's much bigger than some of the minimal land size for a detached. So likelihood could be by developer who bought it. And for the highest quantum, 20 million, it has a record PSF 2798 inching to 2008 for a renovated, fully built 10,000 built up of houses in Katong, Wilhelm. And the one on the right is actually the record PSF 4,000 in quarter 2, 2026 is the shop houses in every route. Yep. Let's dive in a little bit deeper. So, like I say, in last quarter, I actually talk about semi-D. There are a lot of people looking for brand new semi-D. A lot of houses were being stepped up. And this round, I'll talk a little bit more on corner terrace. Because corner terrace, you can't find the data anywhere else. So for us, we actually took the pain to really siphon out the data so that we know, we also want to understand how condo terrace perform versus, terrace and semi-detached. I mean, sometimes we get that a lot from buyers asking, should I buy condo terrace or should I buy semi-detached? What's the difference? So let's look at this chart. It's actually quite correlated. They are quite parallel, and the pricing are quite close to each other. Yeah, the PSF for condo terrace and semi-detached. I think the fact that condo terrace sometimes they're also quite sizable. They got land space as well. Like versus some semi-detached, they are probably could be just only 2004, 2005-ish. Yeah, condo terrace could be 3,000 or even more than that. So, and if you look at the Q2, like as mentioned, it's about 14 units sold versus the 3 in Q1. They are actually translated about, land size is in the range of 2005 to even 3005. And that land size, like the one that you see earlier, the one at Teluk is already 5,009. Now, this I extracted out from our analyzer a little bit on how we can look a bit more deeper into corner terrace, how the PSF perform for the various of a story. Sometimes 2-story, 3.5 story, 2-story, how does it difference? So of course, naturally 3.5 posts the highest in terms of pricing and PSF, right? So 6 million for 3.5 story fully built up, and also with a PSF of 2,431 in average. So then this chart give you a bit of hint of, let's say you are selling or selling corner terrace, what is how do you then position yourself, right? So of course, some people also say maybe the structure does not mean to you. You are only selling the land cost, but it is not always true. It really depends on how the structure being, and when was the house being reconstructed or rebuilt or A&A. So it does actually affect the pricing, right? So this is how it is in terms of the number of story that affect the value or the price of a corner terrace in District 15. Now, the next I'm going to show you a little bit more on the terraces. In the past, most of the terraces were being transacted in Siglap because Siglap has the largest in terms of the landed houses. But in Q2, it's actually a lot more transacted in Chuchet. So it's about 50% of the whole transaction of terraces are transacted in Chuchet area. Like I say, the shop houses are also becoming, it's always in demand. So it really depends on where the shop houses is or are. And Siglap, for this round, the average PSF is already at 2008 PSF. This is how we actually analyze the data. So we actually go by the zone. So terraces, we also subdivide as demarcate into different zones. So we know that prices at different zone has different houses at different zone has different pricing. Siglap 5.2 average, Teluk Kurau 5.6, Chuchet 5.5, and Katong 6.4. Like I mentioned in the past, why Chuchet PSF is always high, or even sometimes as far as Siglap. Chuchet is because of the residential shop houses. They're actually going for like 3.5 up to 4,000 per PSF. So that's why, hence the average PSF will be higher. We have a lot more detailed analysis available, so you can reach out to the lender consultant that invited you tonight. And hot listing, I handpicked some of the houses that for you to have a look. If you do like to view any of the houses, to reach out to us to chat. This in the terrace, 3-story with 5 bedrooms and reconstructed less than 5 years ago. Very renovated, period of 4,004, going for 6.8 million, 3,257. As I mentioned, buyer nowadays are looking for something that's moved in, no need to do a lot. They can probably do minor renovation or touch up, they moved in already. So a lot of them are actually already transited at above 3,000 now. And that being said, these terraces has very good land size because it's more than 2,000 versus the usual 1,006, 1,007 kind of in the terrace. Okay, next I'm going to show you this corner terrace at Teluk Kurau. It has a 2563 roof-in condition. Once again, renovated, so you can actually come and view this house if you have not to. Very good locale, within 1 click to Taunan, and very accessible to amenities. And going for only 7.6 million. Next will be this one, semi-D at Siglap or Franco. Only going for 9.99 million, negotiable. At this PSF, at this price point, we felt that this is actually a market price, quite mark to market, because the transacted PSF in Franco for a 2.5 story is about 2.3, if not 2.4 PSF already. So this is a very good size, 4,000, and the back is not blocked. So you may, if you are interested, to reach out to us. The next will be this detached in Katong. I think this will go to sell soon. 5,000, very good size, not too big. Although I always mention that people are buying looking detached at Katong usually looking for minimum 6,000. This 5,000 make it a quantum more palatable. Cost is only 15 million, negotiable. Okay, renovated, and the house was really rebuilt by the owner themselves. They stayed there for a good 10, 20 years. So very nice house, elevated. Come and visit. I mean, come and talk to us. Come and arrange for a house tour. Let us show you this house. And of course, we have a lot more houses to show you. These are the numbers showing on the screen. Okay, I think that's all for me today. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass on to Will to talk about District 1011. Thank you.
I'm William. So I'll be covering District 19 Quarter 2 analysis today. Right, so at a quick glance, for Q2, we have 7% lesser transaction compared to Q1. But with lower volume, doesn't mean the price or PSF is not growing. So if I can bring your attention to the average transacted price, it increased from 5.5 million to 6 million. That's not 100,000 or 200,000 increment. It's 500,000 increment. That also shows that buyers are getting more affluent in District 19, and they are already receptive of the new price benchmark. So what does this chart show? Basically, the average PSF for inter-terrace, corner terrace, and semi-D is performing relatively well, but not to get alarmed by the negative 15.2% detached, because in District 19, detached only account for less than 10% the total volume. So any outlier would cause a big fluctuation in the percentage. So what does this mean for you guys, right? So in terms of average price, the overall transaction went up by 4.7 million to 5.2 million, crossing the 5 million mark in District 19. The price for semi-D decreased by 1.1%, marginal 100,000 differences, while the PSF increased by 2.3% healthily. In Q2, we have a huge detached of approximately 23,000 square feet in land size, transacted at 26 million under 1,100 PSF. So that would be the transaction that affect the whole percentage. Some record-setting transactions, starting from 405 Punggol Road. Right, so for those of you who are very familiar with Sengkang, you'll know that this particular unit is facing a heavy traffic main road, hence 3 million quantum at 1,007 per square feet. On the right, we have 835 per Serangoon Road. This is, of course, the lowest PSF and also the highest quantum transacted in Q2 2026. Right, this has a land size of 23,000, and it can potentially be converted or rebuilt into a boutique development, just like something you see Kovan Jewel that is along Kovan Road. And moving to 33 Joo Hyang Road, brand new inter-terrace transacted beyond 3,005 per square feet. This is nothing surprising, because over the past few quarters, we have many brand new inter-terrace in District 19 transacting above 3,000 per square feet. So getting to 3,005 per square feet is just a matter of when and not if. In Q2, we only have 299-year transaction, one at Park Villa Terrace, the other unit at Serangoon Garden Rise. Okay, and for Park Villa Terrace, it TOP somewhere in 1997. And for Serangoon Garden Rise, the TOP somewhere in 2016. With a approximately gap of almost 20 years. The property is 20 years newer, hence the price premium between the two properties. So some interesting trends of District 19. In Q1, the buyers are evenly distributed between Serangoon Gardens and Kovan. But moving to Q2, buyers' interests have shifted back to Serangoon Garden, which now accounts for over 50% of the buyer, well ahead of any other subzones in District 19. with regards to value and volume, the proportion of transaction beyond 2,002 per square feet have surpassed 50% for the first time. And in following months to come, it will be, I'm confident to see that this number, this percentage for transaction above 2,200 PSF will get much higher down the road. Lastly, transaction value. So if you look at the average value across the three zones, it continued to record strong price growth, with Serangoon Gardens surpassing the 5.5 million benchmark, while the two other zones are just shy of 5 million benchmark. As for the average PSF, Holborn has crossed 2,005 per square feet milestone, with Lee and Paya Lebar close behind, setting a new price benchmark across District 19. So if you would like to have a more detailed analysis on District 19, feel free to approach any of our HLD consultants. Moving on to some of the hot listings that I'd like to introduce to everyone. Starting off with Richard Avenue. If you are looking for a big land plot, you are in good treat today, right? Starting off with Richard Avenue, we have a land size of 2007 inter terrace below asking at 5 million. This is very rare in today's market. If you're looking for a corner terrace, we have a land size of over 5,000 square feet below 1,004 per square feet. Fancy a semi-D that is near to not one but two MRTs, take a look at this Lorong Gambir that is nicely renovated with a swimming pool. And if you're a landed detached seeker, look no further beyond Jalan Merdu, because for a detached home in District 19 under 10 million, it's just that only few property. So if you're looking for detached, this could be the right one for you. So if you'd like to take a look at more landed listing beyond the four I've just shared, feel free to reach out to any of our HLD landed consultant. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Irene, and today we'll be touching on District 28. Okay, at a glance, we can see that the district highlights. There are more, we have more active with 20% more transactions in the district. An average price increase of 4% from 5 million to 5.2 million. Average PSF has also increased marginally by 0.2% from 2,053 to 2,057. Okay, but what does it mean for you? As we have a terrace, corner terrace, semi-detached as well as detached. This is the chart that we see. So for terraces, average price has increased by 2.1%, meaning average price has increased from 4.4 million to 4.5 million. Average PSF has also increased by 1.3% from 2,297 to 2,327, sorry. For semi-D wise, average price has increased by 13.7%, reaching from 5.3 million to 6.3 million. However, with the significant increase in price, the PSF, we see a marginal decrease of 1.5%, ranging from 1,711 PSF to 1,686. We'll dive deeper later as to explain why there is a decrease of 1.5%, although price increase. As for detached house, average price has decreased by 22%, from 8.1 million to 6.4 million, and average PSF has also decreased by 17.2%, coming down from 1,762 PSF to 1,459 PSF. Record-setting transactions. What do we have here? Okay, let's dive into the different types of houses. For Q1, total transactions is only 38, and for Q2, we have a total of 47 transactions. So there is an increment of 24%. If we break down into the house types, for terrace house, the weightage is quite substantial. It's more than half, and it's like 28 transactions. For semi-detached, will be 18 transactions, and detached is only 1. Okay, why is there a increase in terrace house? Basically, is the terrace house is due to relatively affordable, stable prices sought after very much from condo or HDB upgraders. And there's also the increase in transaction for semi-Ds is also due to demand for better built or more renovated units. Okay. Okay, as we go into the transaction value, very interesting. For Terrace House, there is a increase of 0.8%, okay, ranging from 2297 in Q1, and the average price has gone up to 2316 in Q2. For semi-D, there's a decrease, which I have mentioned earlier. There's a decrease of 1.5%. As for the detached, there's a decrease of 17.2%, from 1762 down to 1459 PSF. So on the average for the whole District 28, the PSF has just gone up marginally by 0.2%. As we dive deeper as to why is there a increase in the semi-D, the strong growth in semi-D price of 13.7% increase is due to higher quantum units transacted. Basically, there are more than 8 million units transacted in Q2, but none in Q1 of that quantum. All right. As to decline in PSF of 1.5%, the reason being is due to 13% larger land size transacted in Q2. Average land size in Q2 is 3774 square feet versus 3342 square feet in Q1. Okay, and as we go by transaction value, okay, that basically we also have seen like Q2, the very much affected area for terrace houses is Sunrise and Cactus area. There's a decrease of 26.5%. Okay, PSF, average PSF also decreased, right? And also another sector we can look at is why is there an increase of 26.7% in Seletar Hills Drive. Okay, two widely different zone results within terraces. Sunrise Cactus decrease of 26.5% is due to one and only exceptionally high PSF of a 3.5-story terrace transacted in Q1. And for Seletar Hills, increase of 26.7% is due to an unexceptionally low PSF of 1326 of a large land corner terrace transacted in Q1. Okay, here to share with you some of the hot listings. Okay, we have Inter-Terrace that is brand new, as well as a corner terrace that is brand new. Land size is 2160 with a very nice build up. Okay. And we also have semi-D of renovated as 1600 PSF, as well as a detached house in Long Tengam area with extensive build out of 8290 square feet. All right. So here are some of the listings. If you have you would like to have more information, please feel to reach out to any of your preferred Huttons landed consultants. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. Cindric here. I'll be talking on D23. Okay. Okay, so basically, at first glance, right, the Q2 has seen a drop in terms of the activities of 23%. Now, in actual fact, what does 23% mean? Actually, in actual fact, it only means a difference of 3 units versus Q1. So in Q1, there were only 13 units that were being transacted, whereas Q2, 10. So the 3%, 3 units actually contributes to 23% drop. Why? Because District 23, as we've mentioned many times before, is a smaller district with lesser transactions. So a little bit of transactions actually contribute to quite a big, significant jump in terms of the percentage point. Right. So average price wise, this is also a significant drop of 25+%. Now, this was actually due to the fact that in Q1 there was a GCB being transacted that was above 10 mil. GCB, any transactions that is above 10, as far as District 23 is concerned, is pretty significant because it's more of a mass market district. Whereas for Q2, right? So Q1 there was a GCB transacted. Q2 wise, there were also two outlier transactions whereby the lease is only left with just 19 years. So naturally, 19 years remaining lease, the transaction price are really way low. 6 figures instead of normal 7 figures for landed properties, right? So, and then we look at average PSF decrease by a little bit of 0.4% in the rates. However, okay, so let's talk about outlier first. I mentioned about this outlier two transactions. The lease is only 19 years remaining. If you remove these outlier transactions, right, in actual fact, the price decrease is less significant, about 13%. Still a drop, but at least 13% only. Whereas PSF, you notice now, if we remove the outlier transactions, there's actually an increase of 20%. Okay, from 1443 to 173 on PSF. Okay, the charts are here for you to dive deeper if you want. Basically, looking at the percentage differences, which on this chart I'll be touching on the more significant one. First, look at this corner terrace, the 50+%, the huge number jump. What contributes to this huge number? Okay, this is where we need to help you to discover. So basically, for corner terrace, there was a big plot, okay, of almost 5,000 square feet land size unit that was transacted this time around in Q2. Okay, versus previous quarter, the 3 corner terrace transacted. Q2 only 1. Q3, the 3 corner terraces, 2 corner terraces, they were like more like average size, about 2,000-ish square feet. Okay, whereas this one 5,000. So thereby of course the quantum price is a lot bigger, yeah, which contributed to this huge jump. Okay, and then okay, semi-D pretty marginal, but okay, this is the interesting part. The detached house, you notice the detached decreased by a whopping almost 80%. Likewise with the PSF. Why? Remember the 2 outlier transactions that I mentioned earlier? Okay, now these 2 were detached houses. So, and Q1, right? In Q1, these were contributed by one of the outlier transaction, the 19 years remaining lease left. Whereas in Q1, the detached houses, there were 2 being transacted. They were both, one of them is Freehold, the other one is 999. So you're comparing Freehold 999 versus 199 year lease, so not just a normal 99, but with only 19 years lease left. Of course, this number disparity is so large right now. Okay, on deeper dive, I will touch a little bit more so you can see a clearer picture. Okay, now let's talk about chart toppers. For chart toppers, we break them to Freehold 999 versus 99. Okay, first we have this at Hong San Walk number 43, lowest quantum at 4 mil. So interestingly, even for D23, you talk about the lowest quantum a terrace house has actually even touched 4 million already. So previously, last time even D21 3 mil plus is like, wow, it's pretty significant. Now even Hong San Walk, Choa Chu Kang area, D23, the lowest quantum is 4 mil. Okay, of course, the given is land is pretty significant. It's higher, it's about 1,009 plus square feet versus a normal standard 1,006 square feet terrace house. This was the corner terrace I briefly mentioned earlier. The big plot, almost 9,000 square feet. Okay, so the PSF was the lowest transacted PSF because of the huge land size, so almost 5,000. Okay, but the sold price is pretty significant. Okay, now same house again, but it takes the cake for the highest quantum transacted as far as Freehold 99 is concerned for D23. Okay, at 6.18 mil. Okay, this in Q2, and then Pavilion, as usual, Pavilion always is the chart toppers for PSF at 2243. For 99 year leasehold, yeah, this is one of the outlier transactions I mentioned to you. 99 leasehold, but the lease is only 19 years remaining. Okay, so at 800K only, less than the mil. Okay, lowest quantum. This is the other one. This is the detached house that caused the detached huge disparity, right? This was the one. Okay, 14 Jalan Siap. Okay, detached 7,000, good size land. Yeah, but if you look at the PSF, 240 PSF. Amazing, right? Okay, so whereas highest PSF goes to, sorry, highest quantum goes to this for 99-year lease. So this one is at Verde, okay, 2.62 for 99-year leasehold. Okay, interestingly, it's already about 30 years, coming to 30 years old already. But yeah, the the quantum price for this 99-year leasehold location is actually still rising. Okay, and then for highest PSF for 99-year leasehold, it's also rising as well at 1560. Also Verde Park Villa Verde, sorry, estate. Okay, a deeper dive. Okay, I want to touch on what I mentioned earlier about the detached house because of the huge disparity. It's interesting to find out the reason why. Okay, detached house. You notice over here, this is the one 1.6. Previously, the two detached 999 and freehold, which resulted in about 8 million. Okay, more reasonable kind of transaction price. Whereas this one, the detached house selling for 1.8, something must be 1.6. Sorry, something must be wrong. Okay, that's why the two huge rate numbers over here. So that's why I circle them. I box it up in yellow, meaning it's an outlier transaction. Okay, if you look at it, yeah. So both Q1 detached houses were sold. Okay, sold were 99 year and freehold, whereas Q2 99 yearly sold unit was just with 19 years lease length. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, one at Phoenix Rise, the other one at Galistan Avenue. Okay, freehold 999. You look at the transaction price, 1,000. It's still actually, if you ask me, very palatable. Okay, 1,001 plus PSF for 999 of freehold. It's pretty hard to find, honestly. Only districts like 23 or D17, D16 maybe. 16 also recently seen pretty significant jump. Okay, 17, so 18, like further out kind of district, then you get this kind of low PSF transaction. Versus, this is the one, 240 PSF, 1.68 million. Okay, so this is whereby I would say, you know, a picture speaks 1,000 words lah. So after having seen this, then it helps consumers to better understand what's the dynamic behind the transactions that transpire in D23. Okay, so of course we have a lot more story to tell, but gist of it is this that is pretty like sticking out like a sore thumb for the last quarter for D23 that we highlighted on it. Okay, now some of the hot listings we have currently. Okay, Hillview area. Okay, we have this brand new build coming up. Expected to complete later part of this year at 6.58 into Terrace. Okay, at 6.58, 3,005 PSF, brand new. And then we also have this semi-detached house, double 9 years. Okay, at 3.2 mil at Burgundy. We also have a detached house. Why this one is worth noting is because this is a semi-D zone. So you can, 3-story semi-D zone. You can build 3.5 story. And this plot allows you to subdivide. So at 1,005, of course, price is negotiable. So it can be subdivided into a pair of semi-detached. So this is I would say negotiate a bit, still palatable to some, right? And then of course we have this GCB. GCB in Chestnut area are of course also of lower entry, at only 22 million. So you look at the PSF, if you compare it with GCB, of course in the prime district, they can go as high as about 3,000-4,000 PSF. So for those who are looking at huge plot of land, okay, this one very wide frontage, very, you know, pretty nice plot at wide frontage and pretty decent built up. You don't even have to tear down and rebuild. Yeah, it's going for only 1,005 plus PSF. Right. So that's all we have. These are some of the other listings that we have available in District 23. If you want to find out more, feel free to consult us or any of those consultants that interacted with. That's all I have for you for D23.